Speaking of drafts, you really seemed like you wanted to talk about Raw, so I turned the tables. I don't turn the tables. I turned the microphone over to you.
Well, no, I didn't really want to talk about Raw, but I really want to talk about one segment on Raw and bring the people up to date on the drafting of the thing, because this is ridiculous now. And I don't even know if we need to go through it in detail to get the point across. But before we talk about the segment of the program that I actually enjoyed, the whole draft thing, we talked about it, and I encourage everybody to go to the previous show we did. We talked about the SmackDown on the Experience this past week, right? Or you go to YouTube and search the clip. But I made the point that I don't know a lot about the pro sports drafts, but I assume that the NFL draft is a shoot. And you confirmed this.
Yes.
And so they're not picking in any logical way in the WWE the talent that would be picked in a legitimate shoot draft. They're not automatically the first top picks would, besides the champions, would be the Drew McIntyres, the CM Punks, the whatever. And it's not happening. The third pick was a guy from NXT. There were in the top 8 was a girl from NXT. It may be lovely, but right now they ain't more important than CM Punk or Drew McIntyre or even Jade Cargill or Braun Breaker, who they've already done a thing where these shows were bidding, and the general managers, Pierce and Aldis, were bidding back and forth for these prospective new superstars, and then they get them for 6 weeks or whatever, and now boom. Except most people aren't moving anywhere anyway. They're just being drafted the same place they were. Do you think they had buyer's remorse and they'd already committed to doing this draft and they said, fuck it, let's just get by with it and we're not going to do it anymore? Or is this, what the fuck?
I don't know why they did it if they weren't going to do anything. Because all you did was make it so that the next time this happens next year, people are going to think that there's a good chance nothing may happen.
Well, and it doesn't make any sense. Even if things were happening, it doesn't make any sense on the face of it as a legitimate draft when one group of 6 people can be drafted in a single draft. That's the new record, by the way. There's a lot of 3s and 4s and sometimes a 5, but I think 6 is a new record. But that's the point I'm making, is that they tried to do this for ratings. I don't think it had any appreciable effect on the ratings. It didn't further any major things going on, except for, Punk and McIntyre got a chance to make something out of it. But it's not logical from a standpoint of you would not draft Drew McIntyre, in a shoot draft, 8 picks after you just drafted 4 people with 1 pick. It doesn't make sense. But here's the thing about the WWE right now compared to, we spent a lot of time on this program talking about AEW. The WWE, we've said this before, they're boring us to death with the programming, but they got the stars and the production and the logic and the reach and all the advantages. They don't have to do anything right now. They just have to not do something stupid. Whereas AEW is in a position where they need to do something right now, but everything they do is stupid. And the difference is people are still watching the WWE programs because even though not a lot happens, especially outside WrestleMania season, it's the stars and it looks big league and it makes sense. And they're reversing some of the trends that, it just made you look and go, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They're cutting back on that. And at the same time, they're just, it doesn't make you think, what the fuck? This is a low rent, a small time operation, which the other program is doing. And the other program has managed to make the company heels, AEW, at the same time as the WWE has finally got 25 years of that off of them. And the company is a babyface again. All the evil people are in the fucking archives. So I guess that's the moral of the story is that the WWE right now, they're doing the business, they've got the stars, they've got the comfortable lead, they've got the infrastructure. They don't have to do anything, just don't do anything stupid. And AEW has got to do something, but everything they do is pretty stupid. So, having said that, just going through the draft a little bit, without even, there was 1, 2, 3, hold on, 4, 5, 6 sessions of 4, so 24 fucking people got draft. Well, no, I'm sorry, I contradict myself. 24 draft picks and up to 6 people in a pick. So it's meaningless at this point, but they got a 3-hour show. And they had the notable things were Stephanie McMahon did round 1 by herself, didn't have anybody with her. Usually it's a 2-man or 2-person operation. But she's a babyface again, isn't she, Brian?
Yeah.
Was there any, from the crowd, any negative? I couldn't hear anything. No problems, no chants, no booing. They loved seeing her.
Yeah, someone better someone better boo soon because they keep getting her on TV more and more. So if someone wants to stop this, now's the time to boo.
I think they're just dangling it out there to see what might happen. But anyway, and that's during that round, Jade Cargill was drafted to SmackDown, where I think she wasn't she? Wasn't she already there?
Yeah, she was teaming with Bianca Belair.
Well, good. She won't have to change the color of her carrying bag. Logan Paul and one of his stooges did round 2, and they also introduced the football player Patrick Mahoney.
Mahomes. And he's the most famous football player in the country right now, probably.
Oh, I thought he was being familiar with him. He's calling Mahomes, like Mahomes.
It's Patrick Mahomes. And again, this was interesting too, because he was a hometown guy, popular in the hometown place, obviously, because he's, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he's having a great time with the heel. So you don't know what to think of it.
Well, what you think of it is that this guy's a hotshot football player that everybody wanted to see, but he's friends with Logan Paul, and he wanted to be a heel because that's more fun. And they said, fuck it, if he'll get him on the show, then let him do what he wants. So he gives the Super Bowl rings to fucking Logan Paul, who swings at the babyface, and he ducks, and Logan Paul pickles poor old JD Funko. And how can you miss a head that size, right? And he tweeted pictures of him afterwards. He had the Super Bowl rings imprinted in his fucking head. And
I told you I like him. Now he's committed. He goes all the way. Every bump he takes looks good. When they had to do this spot, he must have said, just punch me in the head as hard as you can. Leave a mark.
Yeah. Because how can they tell if his head's swollen anyway? But nevertheless, in this round, that's where CM Punk was drafted. And, of course, got a big pop and Punk chance. Normally, they're just announcing names, and people are like, ready. But again, if this was a shoot, they picked 16 entities on SmackDown the other night. And Punk would have been amongst them. But then they would have ended up with a bunch more jobbers than they drafted on this program already. JBL and Ron Simmons, this had to be a rib that they gave Ron Simmons the Japanese and the Hispanic names to pronounce. Did you hear him trying to get out the names of everybody in Escobar's group?
I didn't. Now I wish I had. I had it on mute just because I figured I'll see who gets picked and I'll watch the, I think it was the Met game on that night.
No, that was the best part. He mumbled through it. It's Angel and Berto and Lopez or whatever. He got through that. And then, meanwhile, JBL, he had to do Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Cruz, Wild, Vega, and Carlito. There were 6 people drafted, and that was the record. But then after Ron does Escobar's guys, he has to come back with Shinsuke Nakamura. And anyway, before we talk about the segment now where Drew, and this was the part where Drew McIntyre was drafted to Raw, this late again for Drew McIntyre. Before we go into that segment, though, the rest of it, Teddy Long and Medusa presented some people, and Bubba and Devon presented some people, and then Pierce and Aldis finally finished it up. And just random thoughts, at least old Ilya Dragunov is going to go to Raw now, so we've liked him in the past.
What did you think of the way they shot the NXT announcements when everyone's sitting there, baby faces and heels, but happy for whoever gets called up?
Hated it. If it never would have happened that way in Ohio Valley Wrestling, goddammit. Because then everybody if you want to bring someone up to the main roster and make them a star, the exact thing that I would think you don't want is them to be sitting there looking like Lucky Lucy that just had, fucking won a refrigerator on The Price is Right. Which is that both Lyra, Valkyria, and Blair Davenport looked like they were game show winners from, middle suburbia. Don't have baby faces and heels that are mad at each other in your NXT universe sitting together just for the opportunity to go to this other television program, because that makes people that watch NXT think, well, I guess this ain't no big fucking deal. And at the same time, don't present your fucking guys or girls like they've won the lottery. If they ought to be coming out if it's a baby face, hey, I'm going to show everybody that I've got what it takes or whatever. But if it's a heel, have them go, what took you so long to recognize me? I'm going to rip this place up. Get them started from the word fucking go. Don't make people think they're some goddamn chump that has been rewarded that didn't believe in themselves to begin with. Fuck. But now that I'm over with that, the thing on the show that was great was, again, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, because McIntyre came out and bitching, in what world do I get drafted in round 3? And he's got a legitimate bitch, right? And the fans are chanting CM Punk at him. And he did a great fucking heel promo talking about Punk. And, I'm a real man and that type of thing. And he believes in his heart that he's justified and that all these people have screwed him. It's Bret Hart for the new age. And then suddenly, like Mussolini.
Oh, God.
In round 3. That's another thing. They don't acknowledge the fact that fucking Punk got drafted in round 2 on Raw, which is really 5 rounds overall and is only 1 ahead of Drew, but nevertheless, Punk was ahead of Drew McIntyre. And McIntyre's looking for him everywhere. Punk is in the skybox. I'm right here, you little bitch. And McIntyre takes off like he's going to the skybox and gives Ron Simmons the opportunity to say, damn, right? So then they go to the break and blah, blah, blah. But when they come back later on, Drew's found the skybox.
Well, did you see someone at one point was doing a promo in the back and Drew ran past them?
Yes, it was Sheamus and somebody. Sheamus and Braun. Or Braun and Sheamus, depending on what order you want to go into. But yes, because he's running through the building trying to find the deal, right?
Right.
So finally he finds the box and he goes in and he sees a autographed picture of Punk there. And you're looking out over his shoulder and there's the arena, and the people in the arena now see he's in the box. And then the music hits, like Mussolini.
Oh, Jesus.
Or Houdini, because he's disappeared and he's come back in a different place. Now Punk's making the entrance in the arena while Drew's up in the skybox, can't get to him. And he made Punk made the joke that he's going to take less time than Drew McIntyre was champ. So he's got under 5 minutes and 46 seconds and had McAfee time him. And then he cut the promo on Drew and just ripped him to shreds. And Drew's up there glowering. And, He said, I was drafted before you because I'm the best in the world at what I do, and I'm going to make your life a living hell. And this is the most interesting thing they got going on, and they can't even have a match. But I don't care.
Good. The longer they can't have the match, the more you get stuff like this. The match will screw things up. Getting physical will screw things up right now.
Exactly, because they're still building it. And the different ways that Punk can fuck with Drew McIntyre and that Drew McIntyre can get even with anybody and everybody but Punk, I think is going to be more exciting than what they actually end up doing. Well, I mean, in the end, when they do wrestle. But anyway, that was Raw. The rest of it, I didn't give a shit.